everybody, my name is Alyssa Rowe. I'm here with Alyssa Plessinger. She is the General Manager of Hagerstown Speedway. We're going to do a little bit of a question and answer with her and get to know her and her background with racing and the Hagerstown Speedway. So we're going to go ahead and get started and talk about how you got involved with racing in general.
Well, sort of like you did, as family, and growing up, my dad bought the Speedway when I was about 10 years old, so I would sell sodas. I worked in the popcorn stand from the time I was 10 till really I got out of high school, and then went on to college and got into the military. When I got out of the military, you know, I wasn't really a racing person at that point in time. I was just out of, I'd come back from Korea, and I was kind of more in security clearances and doing that kind of work for the military. So aside from my 4 years, which was civil engineering, a secretary was leaving the Speedway, so I decided to fill in for her, and I worked very closely with Frank Sagi, as well as Randy Grove. You had the front of the house, which was Frank Sagi, the promoter, advertising, marketing. I mean, that man, his desk, I'm literally, you know, the paperwork. And then Randy did the track as well as the rules and the technical. He did the back of the house where he was involved with the competition, the competitors. He really didn't do much with sponsors, but, you know, someone has to do all the work as far as putting up the billboards. And Randy was the man that did all the work, and Frank was the man that did all the paperwork. So those two gentlemen kind of made me what, you know, I learned from them. So that's how I got involved, and I was the only one. There's four of us. I had two brothers that raced, and my sister raced quarter midgets, and I was the only one that never actually raced a car. So
never interested in it, just wanted to work behind it, huh?
Yeah, well, I actually flew airplanes, so I did have my private pilot's license. That was my need for speed. That solved that issue.
So you got involved with Hagerstown Speedway basically with your dad, and you said you worked at the popcorn station and all of that stuff. What else did you do with the Speedway that led you to where you are today?
Well, of course, you know, doing concession work is much different than advertising and marketing, and,
right.
And that's something I talked to you. That wasn't something I was trained in school. So when I first came on, we did not have a lot of the automated things that was coming on board with 95, 96, and that age. Internet was just kind of really starting to take off. We actually were, to my knowledge, we were one of the first tracks to have a website.
Wow.
And that actually came about. Frank had, I think at that point, I think that's when he kind of had retired. And being an older person, and I kind of know that now, that change is very hard. And I think that kind of something happened there as far as, I'm not sure what happened. I don't know how Frank, I think he just retired because at that point I had Steve Crumbacker working for me then, and he was a computer guru. And Intrepid, I think, Technologies out of Pittsburgh did our first website. So that was the launch, and I remember presenting that at one of the banquets. And I personally didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we were definitely one, and, you know, we got rid of, like, what used to be a quip machine, a fax machine. We started emailing. Just technology in general had started in the very basics. I mean, we had always had a scoring and timing loop, because when the World of Outlaws came, that was prior to it, but then we didn't have the electronic scoreboard. Mm-hmm. So the things that happened between 96 and probably 2005 or 6, those 10 years mm-hmm. was a very big growing. And then somewhere around the 2008-9, things started falling off. The economy started to fall, and there was a lot of racing that kind of went down.
Right.
So we had already had everything that everyone's already got now. And so now what the next step in going forward? What is the next step? I mean, you know, there's so much. I mean, you know, once being a leader, now being a part of a large group, and right. Some, like I said, some following. I mean, we were maybe the leader in our time back then, and that's good, because I mean, it gave us a lot of momentum going forward, and sustainability, because we do have a very long, rich history and all of that, and that's my dad, the risk taker, mm-hmm. the promoter, and then of course, you know, Frank and Randy, covering the amount of work, because Dad worked in business more than the Speedway, but he was the risk taker that did some of the races that will never be done again. And mm-hmm. So we have, like I said, a very rich history. And going forward with some of the things today, I'm actually, you know, I took 3 years off. Ernie had taken over the Speedway, and getting back into it, you know, I didn't really have a promoter. So Doug Timmons had joined, and him and I go back many years, back to where we used to have Winchester Hagerstown Shootout. He knows about working together with the people in the community and getting things set up. He's good at that kind of stuff, and for as long as he's done it, there's not too many people that don't know him, so that works really well. But I handle primarily the behind the scenes stuff, the insurance, the accident reports if there is any, and it's been a lot less in the last 3 years than what I remember.
Yeah, that's good.
There's just so many other options that kids have that racing, you know, and I've got a little 5-year-old starting with quarter midgets, so you know, I'm going to try and see how far we can go with getting younger people to the Speedway, because you know, the age is getting, and that's what I said, Doug's been doing this for a lot of years. So I mean, he's a little older than me, but he kind of keeps my feet on the ground, because a lot of times, you know, we'll have a great idea and he brings me back to reality. So sometimes you need that, and that's what I said, going forward, it's a great partnership. I've got so many great people around me that's helping to do things. So
that's great. You definitely need a lot of people. It takes an army.
It does. It does, and we're not even raising a family down there anymore.
So you're definitely busy with Hagerstown Speedway. You're there full time, all the time.
Yeah, somebody's got to be there.
Yep.
And I cut back the office hours because my phone follows me. I mean, they call my phone, call my extension. I could be, you know, at Walmart or Sam's getting supplies, you know,
calls.
and I'm selling tickets for the soil race, you know. Like, you don't have to be in the office much, but you know, there's so many things people don't understand that gets done down there. My dad literally is down there 40 plus hours grading, and I mean, you know, the amount of trash that gets picked up, the amount of stuff that you take off the track, grading it and letting it set, and then going back and refinishing it. I mean, and then you got to tighten it up and water it, and I mean, there's just so much work. And then you got porta pots got to be cleaned, you got trash to be picked up, removed, sewer hauled. I mean, there's just so much work that takes place that people don't realize behind the scenes. And you know, all your deliveries for any of your concessions and stuff, all are there. So when I have to be there, I try to just make the deliveries all and all the maintenance stuff during those times. That way I can get work done as well, because you know, I don't have to, and with the phone being with me, I can pretty much take care of business anywhere I'm at.
Yeah, well, that's nice.
Yeah, because I mean,
easy.
Yeah, because I mean, someone says I need your logo. Guess what? I got it on my phone. I don't have to go to the computer anymore. Everything's here. Shoot the logo over. You know, get the ad.
Perfect.
I mean, yeah, because you know, you got people coming from newspapers and you know, radio stations and stuff when you're doing advertising, marketing, and like I said, that's not my fine point. That's something that but it's something that has to be done.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So, like you said, you're so busy with that. Outside of it, what are your interests outside of the Speedway?
When you got 2 kids, you're at every baseball game you can be at, soccer, basketball. I got my little one going to be racing quarter midgets. Like I said, that's going to be a whole new ball game for me. The other one that's older, that doesn't have any interest, I got him a mud truck, so I'm going to put him on the track, because when he gets old enough to drive, I want to make sure that he's already had his first couple accidents on the property. Because you know it's going to happen. As I said, so that's my interest, is taking care of those boys, because they are busy about everything. You know, I can't ride horses. I got a motorcycle that sits. I finally got the carburetor cleaned in it, so got it out last year. You know, so if I can get some time to ride that, I enjoy that. Other than that, you know, I have 2 big dogs, and I got, you know, kids and dogs. They rock the world.
Yeah, so. They do. Take up a lot of your time.
They do, yeah. So you don't really have much time on your own.
Yeah. There's a lot of big plans coming up. I know we talked earlier, and you gave a lot of credit to your husband Robert, and Doug Timmons, who have worked together and worked with you on getting some stuff for the 2019 season. Is there anything you want to talk about with the plans for this year? Well,
there is a lot more winged events taking place down there. Last year, Robert had met with the PAC Series sprints, and that involved with, there's 2 other sprint organizations, I believe Laurel Highlands and the Virginia Sprint Series. Might be saying that wrong, but they all came together, and we're actually having an East Coast National. So I'm really excited about that.
That is exciting. I know that, like you said, like we talked about Doug, and everybody has a lot of hands in the future. But what do you see as your future goals for the Speedway? More on safety, or do you have other goals as well?
Well, the biggest thing with the speed is the safety, is throwing that back. We've diversified. We've always kind of had a little bit. I mean, we haven't had a motorcycle race for a couple of years, but you know, typically we've got a tractor pull coming in. We haven't had that for a couple of years, but the tractor pulls was taken over from the monster trucks. I mean, if I look back at the number of events and things that we had, diversity, because it plays in with our partnering tracks. Like when I have monster trucks, then another track can take the events that I take. You know, the fans that's following that goes to another track to visit, and that kind of plays into partnering with the racetracks. Bonanza came along about 10 years ago and took Mother's Day weekend, which was good because NASCAR now raced on Mother's Day. Like tractor pools are coming this year. Robert bringing in a lot of different sprints, and I don't have a problem with that. It wasn't that I didn't think of it. It's just that it wasn't a natural fit in being consistent. Yeah, with years past. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So we're trying new things, and Mr. LaSalle is bringing a crate modified, which is a more efficient cost. Yes. And that's the big thing. You know, you got costs. I mean, there's so many factors that play into where we are today.
Well, that was really great. I know a lot of people really help you. Do you want to talk about your sponsors and your crew?
A lot of great sponsors. Thomas Automotive does a great job. They have put last 2 years have put some really good races on, bringing the Ultimate in. Rainouts last year wasn't good. Hamilton Nissan with our Pace truck, Hoosier Tire Mid-Atlantic, and Sunoco Fuels. Got Hendershots and Hafer's Gunsmithing, both down there. I mean, I wish I could name them all, but you know, without the sponsors, then the drivers know this too. That's, if you didn't have them, you really can't go far. I mean, you really need them. And the guys down there, Brian Jones, second to none. I mean, he's just the most conscientious, dependable person you could ever have doing your track. And of course, I mentioned Josh. He's the man in the tower. And Doug, you know, my old-time friend, an arch enemy. No, I can't say that. But Winchester, Hagerstown, we started to shoot at many years ago, and we've always kind of worked together. And he's in my backyard. He's my neighbor. He lives there. He used to just get down to Winchester. So, and then I got some new guys, and they were my, back in the day, they were the Steel Block Bandit guys, and I knew them then and didn't really know them now. But Walter, and of course Danny Wilson, and I got Rich, newcomer. I got a lot of people that help us with the track. Too many to name, but Mikey Hallbaker's my favorite welder. Of course, my husband, he's taking a role in this racing thing here. So, you know, those guys are all putting a lot of work on my table. So I'm doing what I can to keep going, and I'm looking forward to the future. I'd like to do some things down there, make some changes. As far as you know, we gotta stay up with all the safety elements. Looking at maybe getting some of those fire aid massive extinguishers that blow like 45 feet away. You know, we have a big, huge Purple K tank that we have on the back of the truck, and it does the same thing, but people don't like corrosive materials. And whenever you spray down an aluminum block with that fire aid, now, but all of our other extinguishers are 20 pounds, are all use fire aid, so it's all good, and you can eat that stuff. It's foam you can eat, but you know, we still have the big corrosive tank, the big Purple K to use in massive fire, and it's always on the scene. But we were thinking about maybe getting, now that it's getting a little older, time to upgrade some things there. There's really the upgrades, you know. It's just so hard because you don't know what you have to work with from year to year. We are totally funded independently. There's no fair board. There's no community. Late models, they have their own deal, and that's one of the reasons. Like I said, when we don't race late models, Winchester races late models, and kind of working with tracks across is what the key is survival this time of year. So
yeah. Well, it was very nice talking to you. You have a lot of history, lots of things. Yeah. You know, a lot of great people. You've worked with a lot of great people.
I remember, my God, that and the names. I miss Frank so much because he nicknamed everybody in your day. And I go back to, you know, I mean, I remember, I would never thought, you know.
That's great. Well, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Fans, make sure you check out Hagerstown Speedway. You can go to their website at hagerstownSpeedway.com. I'll put up all of their social media links right after this video. You can check out all of their stuff. And make sure you go to the races and bring a friend this year. So thank you again.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you. You too.